Disclaimer. Hey guys, this is Sinister Cato back again with a new video, so let's get right into the intro.
Big Deku get it on Macy Gray. Yeah. Raindrops, drop top, smoking on cooking the hot box. Cookie, fucking on your bitch, you thought.
Before we start the story, I recently just found out that 100% of you guys aren't even subscribed to me. Like, what the heck, guys? So if you could hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, that would help me out a lot, so let's continue. So last what if video, Class 1A was ambushed by the League of Villains upon arriving at the USJ, but thanks to his quick thinking, Deku managed to hold back the one-man army also known as the Nomu. He held it back up to the point that All Might arrives on the scene and defeated it together with one punch. So if you guys haven't seen it yet or accidentally skipped it, go ahead and watch it right now before continuing. Also, I had an epiphany that Deku was too strong and that his techniques were too overpowered, so I will add some moves that is more suitable for the My Hero Academia universe, and that his powers are very controlled, but I will keep some moves the same, so let's continue. A week after the USJ incident, the teachers were discussing about the leader of the League of Villains, which was Shigaraki. They had a theory that he was probably the one who broke into the school and took some informations. A few hours later, Deku and his friends were talking about why they wanted to be a hero. Eureka then shared her story and why she really wanted to be a one. Deku then quickly judged her if she wanted to be a hero, to actually help people or for money, but he still thought that it was admirable. All Might then comes out of nowhere and asked Deku if he wanted to have a lunch with him and talk about a certain topic. Deku then quickly agreed and went with All Might. When they both went inside a room, they started talking about the incident and also about All Might's quirk and his injuries. All Might started the good news about his respiratory system is slowly healing and that he is getting his old strength back. Deku then was happy for All Might until he heard a terrible news.
Young Izuku, I acknowledge that you know about my injuries and how I've been trying to get treatment all over the world, but I want to tell you that I'm healing, but at the same time I'm slowly losing some time limit.
Deku was so shocked to hear this and started apologizing to All Might, but All Might told him not to worry because he put his trust on the next generation of heroes. They then started talking that Deku should also introduce himself as the next All Might for his generation at the sports festival, to which Deku then smiled and promised he will do. After a hard day at school, it was time for them to go home, but when they looked outside their classroom, they were bombarded by a crowd of students. Bakugo then went up to the front and smirked about the crowds are only there to check out their competition who single-handedly won a villain attack. Shinso, one of the students in the crowd, told Bakugo that he will climb up to change his status from the general department into the hero course. He then declared that they will go to war with Class 1A. On the other hand, Tetsu from Class 1B told the Class 1A students not to get arrogant and try not to embarrass themselves on the event. Deku was then shocked to see how many people wanted to become an aspiring hero, and not only him. He then walked to the front with Bakugo and walked off with, leaving the other students feel inferior. For the next 2 weeks, all of Class 1A started getting ready and trained their quirks, while Bakugo and Deku sparred to see their differences in power. So the 2 weeks has passed, and it's time for the school event. We arrive at the school arena, where Deku and Todoroki are talking about who is stronger. Todoroki told Deku that he doesn't know who might be stronger between the two of them, but that he will be the one who wins. Deku then smiled at Todoroki and declared that he will beat him to be number 1. Before the festival began, Deku was called up to be his class representative and talked about what it takes to be a hero. After giving a nice long speech about the event, he then told everyone to do their best and go beyond plus ultra. As Deku put his hand up, everyone cheered with him and also shouted plus ultra. After that, Midnight gave a brief explanation about the coming event and what they have to do. The students must have 4 kilometers race outside the stadium and that there could only be one winner. Every student started to get ready for the race and were eager to start. When the race started, Todoroki froze everyone and ran along them, Most of the class 1A students managed to escape to and run. Deku then used Ofa to go past the students who were stuck and went right behind Todoroki. Running head to head, Deku and Todoroki saw their first obstacles. It was a bunch of giant zero-pointer robots that were used for entrance exam. Both kids looked at each other and was ready to attack at the robots. Todoroki then instantly froze them while Deku pulled the air around him and caused the ground on the obstacle to rip open. The robots then started to fall into a giant pit that Deku made. The crowd cheered for him and Todoroki was shocked to see what just happened. Deku then took on first place and ran past it. Meanwhile everyone tried to avoid from falling into the pit. While this was happening, Bakugo flew over it using his explosion and started yelling that Deku and Todoroki aren't the only strong one there. The second obstacle was the fall. It was a canyon with little strip of ropes to walk on and pass by. Todoroki also quickly finished through this and started running for it while Bakugo has caught up and finished it too. Meanwhile, Deku has put vibrations on his legs and jumped using one for all to repel him to make a giant leap. He was soaring through the sky and doesn't know when he'll stop and go back to the ground. At the last obstacle, which was the landmine, Bakugo was confused to what happened to Deku since he saw him earlier, but now he's gone. But this didn't bother, to which he quickly went to Todoroki because explosions barely affects him. Both students then started having a scuffle halfway through the end. Meanwhile Deku was still looking for a way to land down while both Bakugo and Todoroki were fighting. Deku quickly had an idea that he could solidify the air and make him step on it. Deku then did that and did another giant jump, but this time he was going faster and towards Bakugo and Todoroki. While the two boys were fighting, Deku landed next to them and accidentally knocking them both down. Then an explosion happened, causing them to be injured. Deku then started to smile and apologize to them. He then started running towards the end. Bakugo and Todoroki then got angry and tried to catch up to Deku. Deku then told them he was sorry, but he has to win. He then used full crawling and started to go faster. Amazed by his speed, Todoroki then started to use the same technique he used for his recommendation exam, while Bakugo used his explosion. Then a few minutes later one of them came out victorious, and that person was Deku. The crowd cheered for him, but mostly All Might, since he was very proud of him. Now it's time for the cavalry race. Midnight congratulated Deku and started to explain the next event, which was the cavalry race. She also told everyone that they all got a point based on their place from previous race, which Deku got the highest score, the 10 million headband. The score then shocked Deku, since he knows that he will be a sole target for everyone. Midnight then told them they have a few minutes to choose their team before the fight begins. Deku tried to recruit Bakugo, but he noticed that he didn't want to team up because both of them will be unstoppable. Like in the anime, no one wanted to team up with Deku since they think he has a dangerous quirk and that he has the highest point. So Deku then decided to ask these two people to join his team, Tokoyami and Asu. Meanwhile Eureka then asked him to join in, which he then allowed her to. The fight then began and everyone started to cheer. Deku told his team to hold him tight and that Tokoyami should catch him anyone that might fly up. His team then started to wonder why, but still obeyed his command. Deku looked at Bakugo and nodded at him. Deku then clapped his hand, making a loud shockwave. Meanwhile Bakugo made a giant explosion, causing the arena to be covered in smoke. Both students planned this a week before and made an alliance until the end. Deku then started to sense the vibrations around him and told Tokoyami to grab some headbands randomly, while Bakugo and his team does the same. Suddenly, Todoroki comes out of nowhere with his team ready to attack Deku and tried to take down the 10 million headband. Deku's instinct suddenly kicked in and grabbed Todoroki's hand and threw him off board whilst grabbing his headband. Momo then quickly caught Todoroki barely, but he was still in the game. A few minutes to the end, the top 3 students of 1A and other classes started to have a little showdown. Everyone attacked at Deku, but he asked Eureka if she could make everyone weightless so Deku could fly them away. Eureka obeyed Deku's command and after doing that, they all held him tightly, and Deku flicked his finger making a giant shockwave that pushed them through the air. This then made Todoroki angry to see that Deku might be stronger than him, and was annoyed that he promised he won't use his fire side to win. When Deku and his team landed, a large explosion happened, and it was Ida's new move. Team Todoroki was going towards Team Deku and planned to steal their headbands, mostly the 10 million. Deku notices this and tried to punch Todoroki as he came towards them. Todoroki was about to panic and unconsciously started to use his fire side and tried to attack Deku. Deku then quickly clapped his hand, dispersing the flames. Todoroki then realized and pulled his arm back thinking what he has just done. Meanwhile, after Bakugo was finishing his business, his team headed towards Team Todoroki and Deku, who are fighting head to head. Todoroki then made a large ice wall stop some of Deku's attack. Again Ida used his fastest attack, and in a blink of an eye, Team Todoroki was behind Team Deku grabbing 2 of their headbands. Todoroki was so sure that he took both his and Deku's points back. Deku then smiled and showed Todoroki that he switched the headbands knowing something like that would happen. Bakugo saw the chance to ambush Todoroki and tried to attack him, but the timer ends with all 3 of their teams winning. Also due to Deku's team getting most of the headbands, other teams had to do another event to see which ones will go as the final candidates. It was Shinso's team. I don't know why and how, but it was Shinso's team that won. Now for the final event, the fighting tournament. Deku and Shinso. You guys already knows what happens. Deku and Shinso starts to talk about how useless one of their classmates is, and Deku gets hypnotized and is ordered to step out. Moments before Deku was about to step out, he saw the silhouettes of the old users of One For All. Then he started to unconsciously use One For All and was pushed back to the ring. Deku then was shocked to what he just witnessed and went back to Shinso. Shinso then tried his best to hypnotize Deku again, but instead met his untimely fate of being knocked out with a single punch. The crowd then cheered for Deku as he won. After the match, Deku properly introduced himself to Shinso and told him that he did a good job. Then at one of the hallway, Deku meets All Might where he told him about seeing silhouettes. All Might confirmed that he also used to see them in his younger days. A few minutes later, Endeavor came out of nowhere and told Deku to convince Todoroki to use his fire side and praised him about his quirk being strong and similar to All Might. Deku then said that his son is not him and he is not All Might. Later before the fight, Todoroki came up to Deku and asked him about All Might. He said that he'll beat him and that he will win the tournament due to his father watching. Todoroki then said that Deku might be as well All Might's secret love child due to his quirk. Then Todoroki vs Deku. Todoroki tended to finish the match very fast and not used his fire side. He did the same to what he did with Zero. Knowing it's Deku, he knew it has to be bigger. When this happened, Deku quickly created a giant vibrating sphere that protected him and broke the entire ice barrier. Todoroki was shocked to see this and started to produce more ice walls, which Deku kept destroying with no efforts. The whole crowd started to cheer for them both, and Deku notices that Todoroki is about to be knocked out because of his cold. Todoroki then told Deku if Endeavor paid him to say such things and to convince him to use his fire side. Deku then was angered and said that Todoroki was very lucky to have a father that wanted what's best for him and even have a strong quirk that anyone would want. Deku also told Todoroki the truth, that he also have 2 quirks and that it would be a very big disadvantage if he used it. So Deku then decided to show him what One For All could do and started to use full crawling. As Deku then started running around the place using One For All, it looked like he was teleporting from places to places. Todoroki was panicking more and more and started to use his fire quirk. A minute later, the match was getting so intense that the teacher decided to stop it, with Cementus and Midnight using their quirks to stop them. Both students didn't hesitate to attack each other. Todoroki purposely used his fire side to heat his body up to use his ice side more and made another giant ice barrier. Deku then smiled and pulled the air, causing the arena to shake and break everything. Cementus then made a large wall that protected everyone watching. With a large explosion, the walls broke and smoke filled the arena. The camera then points at Deku, who has a broken arm and was dragging Todoroki's unconscious body off the stage. Deku then lifted his right arm and shouted with pure joy. The whole arena then started to cheer for him and started chanting his hero name, Magnitude. Then Deku v Zeta. Deku wanted to show off one for all and used full crawling. His speed v Zeta's speed. Then two people clashed into each other and Deku managed to outpace Ida. Deku won by Ida passing out. Now for the final Deku vs Bakugo. Both friends smiled, knowing the result. As the bell rang, Bakugo fires a massive explosion at Deku. Unfortunately, Deku got rid of it by clapping. Minutes has passed. Deku was getting exhausted from blocking attacks from Bakugo. Bakugo was also exhausted too. His arms were hurting. As Deku was about to punch him, Bakugo fired his last resort after his heating up his palms with his explosion, causing him to sweat more. Deku smiled, then punched the air with one for all and his own quirk together. The air then started to crack more and everyone saw it started to hold tight on their chair. The whole stage then started crumble apart and break, with Bakugo being pushed out of bound. Deku is standing unconscious, but still in bound. The whole arena cheered for both kids for doing a good job. Deku is again first place. He hugged Bakugo and told him that it was a great match. Both friends smiled at each other, and that was the end for this arc. Next arc will be Hero Killer Stain. If you guys like this, please like and subscribe. We are close to 300, so please do it now. As always, peace out and love yourself.